So this video is going to be 5.1 and 5.3, so I'm going to be introducing slope-intercept form, okay? So when I'm talking about slope-intercept form, I'm talking about a slope and an intercept, okay? Specifically a y-intercept. So these equations are going to look like something very similar or for what you guys already know. So it's going to be y equals mx plus b. Okay, b is going to be my y-intercept. Okay, it's going to be where you begin on a graph. M is going to be my slope. Okay, so we're going to be learning how to graph these and different types of ways to make this equation and so on and so forth. Okay, so what is slope? Slope is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so if I gave you 2 points, so say I gave you 1, 1 and 4, 4, okay, our points are always x comma y. So my first set is x1, y1, my second set is x2, y2, and I just fill them in. So this is my y2, so it goes on top. This is my y1, so it goes on top. x2, x1. Okay, so 4 minus 1 is 3. 4 minus 1 is 3, so I got 1. Okay, so a point is always x, y, so if I have 2 points, one is x1, y1, the other one is x2, y2, and then we just fill it into our equation. Okay, so in this, my slope, so my m is going to be 2, my y-intercept is negative 9. Okay, this is like having a negative 1 here, so my slope is negative 1, my y-intercept is 1, because we're going y equals mx plus b. Okay, this does not have an x attached to it. I just want to know the number in front of x. Okay, this has a 1 in front, and to make this easier, we can add a plus 0, because you can add a plus 0 to anything, and it means the exact same thing. So in this, my slope, which is the number in front of x, is 1, and my b is 0. Okay, this, do I have a slope? Do I have something in front of x? Okay, I could rewrite it to 0x plus 7, okay, because 0 times x is the same thing as it not being there. So in this case, my slope is 0, and my y-intercept is at 7. Okay, this I'm writing an equation. So if my equation is y equals mx plus b, I fill it in. So this is y equals, substitute this in for the m, so negative 1x, and substitute the 2 in for the b. So I got y equals mx, so 6x, plus whatever my b is. So we could drop this, because plus 0 means nothing, so just y equals 6x. Okay, this we're writing an equation for it. So if my equation is y equals mx plus b, I have an m and I have a point. So this can go in for x and this can go in for y. Okay, my b is my y-intercept. Okay, so I am trying to find b in this situation, and then I'll rewrite my equation. So right now, let's plug it in. So this is x, this is y, so my y is 1, my slope was 2, and my x is negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. We had to add 2, so my b is 3. Okay, but that is not an equation of a line right now. I don't know how to graph b equals 3, so I need to rewrite it. I need to rewrite it with my slope in it. So my slope is 2, so I'm going to have 2x plus whatever b I found. Okay, now is an equation that we are able to graph. So it is in y equals mx plus b. Okay, we do not fill in my y and my x, because when we graph this, the equation looks like this without an x and a y filled in. Okay, so let's try this one. This is my x, this is my y, so we got 2 equals my slope, which is 0, times my x, plus b. So 0 times 3 is just 0, so my b equals 2. So I need to write it, so y equals whatever my slope is, times my x, plus whatever I found for my b. So this is going to go away, so I'm just going to have y equals 2, because 0 times x is just 0. Okay, again, do not fill in your x and y, because we can't graph it if we have a bunch of numbers in it. It has to be in y equals mx plus b form without my y and my x filled in. Okay, this one's going to be tricky, so I'm going to rewrite this so I have some space. Okay, so first I need to find my slope. So I got x1, y1, x2, y2. Because when we talk about slope-intercept, I need a slope and I need a y-intercept to make my equation. Okay, so whenever I'm graphing anything, I have to have a slope. So it is the first thing that I find whenever I'm graphing or writing an equation. So I have y2 minus my y1 over my x2 minus my x1. Okay, don't forget about the negatives here. So 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Two negatives make a positive, so we got a positive 1 on bottom. So my slope is just negative 2. Okay, when I'm writing my equation, I can pick either point to write my equation. I just need one of them. The 0, 0 looks like it's going to be the easiest to plug into my y equals mx plus b. So we're going to do that. So my y is 0. My slope I just found to be negative 2. My x is 0. And we got our plus b. So negative 2 times 0 is 0. So my b is 0. So my equation, if I rewrite it, is y equals whatever the slope I found is with my x plus my b. So it's the same thing as y equals negative 2x. Okay, so you always have to find the slope first, which is that y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equation. Once you find the slope, then you pick a point to plug in with your slope, solve for b like we have been, and then rewrite your equation. So here's another one that I'm going to rewrite at the top here so I have more space. Okay, so I have to find my slope first because I don't have one. So I got x1, y1, x2, y2. So 7 minus negative 1, because we still always have a minus in there, and negative 8 minus negative 4. So two negatives make a positive, so we got 7 plus 1 on top. Two negatives make a positive. So negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. So our answer is negative 2. So right now my slope is negative 2. Okay, now I got to pick a point to plug into my y equals mx plus b equation. This one looks easier because the numbers aren't as big. So my y is negative 1, and then my slope is negative 2, my x is negative 4, and we still have our plus b. Negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. If we subtract 8, my b is going to be negative 9. Now I have to rewrite the equation because that is not an equation I can graph. So I got y equals whatever my slope is with whatever my b is. So that is the equation I would graph. Okay, now I need to create an equation from a graph. So let's pretend that line goes through those points. I had a little problem trying to make them connect. Okay, so when we have our y equals mx plus b, my b is always where it crosses my y-axis. So right now this is crossing at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can fill in that y-intercept with 5. Okay, now I want to figure out my slope. So I need the distance from one point to the next. So I'm going down 5 and to the right 2. So going down gives me a negative, and going to the right is positive. And then we still have that plus 5. Okay, so whenever you go down on this, for when we're talking about slope, whenever you go down it's negative, whenever you go to the right it's positive. So that means if you ever went up, it would have been positive, but if you would have gone to the left, it would have been negative. You can think of it as how this side is a positives and this side's negatives. Down here is a negative and this is a positive. You can think of it that way if that helps. But we'll have a lot more practice doing this. So that means this equation should be decreasing. That's how we got that negative, and it is decreasing. Okay, my y-intercept should be sitting at 5, and I'm going down 5 to the right 2, or up 5 to the left 2, which is the same thing as negative 5 over 2. Okay, as long as either one of these numbers right here is negative. It could be the 2, it could be the 5, it doesn't matter, as long as it's only one of them.